first podcast video. I'm your host Anshika Singh, and with me I'm having the ever curious Oishi Mukherjee. And today we are diving into the intriguing world of art curation.
Absolutely, Anshika. So, it's a realm where paintings come together to tell their stories. So, we should just begin.
Yeah, let's start. Well, let's kick things off by understanding what basically art curation means. It's not about hanging paintings on walls, right?
Right. Art curation is a carefully orchestrated process of selecting and arranging the artworks in such a way that it provides a meaningful and engaging narrative. It actually, fosters a relation between the art and the audience.
Oh yeah, like I've seen, Jamini Roy's Three Pujaran's painting. It's a captivating work which showcases the fusion between folk and classical art.
Actually, you're right. The bold lines
Yeah.
and the vibrant colors that he uses, along with the simplified forms that he uses to depict the three women who are actually engaged in the religious rituals, and it also shows his mastery of artwork, in portraying the basic rural Bengal life of every single woman, especially the married woman.
Exactly, that is indeed a piece of masterwork.
It's actually.
Okay, before we move on, let's discuss in brief what is the relationship between an artist and a curator. Because see, artist is a word which is like very common to us, but curator is something we are listening to first time. So what is the relationship between an artist and a curator?
Well, you're absolutely right. A curator word is quite uncommon to many people.
Yeah.
So, to some artists, the curators may provide advice on different directions on how to do a painting or what kind of painting our audience want.
Okay.
And sometimes they also become the confidence of few of our artists, whom they can turn in terms of support or advice in various directions. It may be for their artwork or other personal things.
Challenges. Yes. Curator plays a big role in artist's life, I guess. Then.
Yes, it does. Without them, I think an artwork cannot be showcased to the entire world.
Yeah. Creating a narrative in painting, in painting itself seems like a delicate art. So, how do curators go about crafting this visual journey?
Well, it's actually it often starts with a concept or a theme, and then the curators try to establish the relationship between the different paintings that they are going to showcase. And it's like basically when they try to establish a relationship between the different paintings, it's actually about seeing how they complement and contrast each other. And curating an artwork is basically guiding the viewer's eyes and emotions of the audience through in a particular way.
Okay.
And as you can see, just in case of Picasso's La Vie, it's actually exploring the different human relationships and the existential themes. It also to some extent portrays the complex interplay of love, life and death. And personally what I feel is that to some extent that Picasso has tried to portray his own personal life struggles through this painting.
Oh yeah, I've seen that painting. The use of somber tones and distorted forms add emotional depth to that painting, showcasing Picasso's innovative, captist approach. I've seen that. Okay, so with the rise of digital age, how do you think the art curation or the art curators are coping up with the new virtual spaces or the new modern platforms?
You're right. We have the virtual or the digital canvases. It's an exciting frontier. Virtual exhibitions and online platforms provides opportunities to curator, because he or she is able to showcase beautiful artworks, and also his or her quality of choosing beautiful artworks of various talented artists, just not caring about the physical boundaries, but also it has a lot of its challenges, because there are any challenges of plagiarism, as we all know. So
Yeah.
it's a bit tough, but everything has to work on its own, right?
Exactly. I'm sure there are hidden stories behind every painting.
Yeah, of course, there has to be. Um, every painting has its own story. It tells its own story. I feel that a painting has the story of an artist, which can be his personal life struggle, which can be love life or his childhood trauma. It can be anything. It also sometimes involves the cultural influence, different cultural influence, which can be, sometimes it is the war times, sometimes, a artist who has born maybe in some place and then he moves to some other place due to some reasons. I think every time art has to tell some story. It also, it's just so beautiful how you get to know different stories just through a single piece of art. I feel just like Tomoko Kashiki's painting.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
a famous Japanese painter. Her painting The Moon and the Earphones,
Oh,
right?
yes, I've seen that.
It has a unique way of telling us a story about how our everyday life, be our everyday object, which has been portrayed to a earphone, is how it's linked with the nature, like as in the painting a moon. It can be anything, as well as it also says that we have a link between the nature and the universe. So it has this, it has this cosmic connection, it has this cosmic symbolization of our everyday life with such a big universe.
Yeah, I've seen that painting, It's like the curators are exploring how Kakashiki's work engages with the intersection of nature and technology, prompting viewers to reflect the connection between the virtual and the tangible in our modern lives. I've seen that. It's a beautiful painting.
It's a beautiful piece
Trust
of
me,
art.
I know, I've seen it. And I've done some research before sitting into this podcast. So see, engaging the audience these days is crucial. So, how do curators invite viewers to interact with the art just beyond the virtual appreciation?
The context is the main key. Providing background information about the artist, their intent, and also the cultural background of the painting that the artist have created helps the viewers, or rather the audience, to connect on a deeper level.
Okay.
It basically transforms the painting into a conversational starter. When you're seeing a painting and when you have the exact and the complete knowledge of the painting, you don't have to start a conversation with hi, hello, or something.
I know.
The person who is standing beside or behind you, you just start the conversation about the painting itself, and it just continues, and it can go on and on and
Like
on.
this podcast, like before starting this podcast, I just remember the street painting we talked about, but I never researched about them. But after interacting with you about art curation, because earlier I didn't knew the difference, even the difference between the artist and the curator. But now after this podcast, I've come to know a hell lot of things. Thank you for that.
No, there's nothing to thank me. It's really nice to talk about paintings and also art curation, because there are many people who are not familiar with art
I know,
curation, because it's not a that kind of profession
Yeah.
that people get to know every single moment.
I know.
It's very like everyone knows about painters, paintings, but the reason or the person who is behind all of the curating or selecting the paintings and showcasing to the world doesn't always come to the forefront, you know.
I know, but
So
let's guess that after this podcast, people are gonna know a lot about art and art curation.
I hope too that people know a lot about it, and I hope that they can research more about this, so that it just doesn't stops here. They can gain a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. And you all can start with the paintings which we mentioned, the 3 paintings which we mentioned on the podcast. The last one, the Kashiki's
painting.
that painting of it's beautiful. So that's wrap up our first podcast video. A big thank you to our listeners for listening to us. Go on creating, go on exploring art. This is your host Anshika Singh and my co-host
Oishi Mukherjee
signing off.